Hello, beautiful souls. How are you? My name is Anj Granieri, and this is Prana the Buddha Princess, who is my Zen teacher, the only creature that I could have around me that did not make me crash when I was basically bedbound and couldn't tolerate light or sound. But she and I were simpatico. Yes, I was sick with myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, for 5 years. Looking back now, I recognize that even though the final trigger of ME CFS happened in 2018, I was revving up my nervous system for this illness to catch fire for decades. I have a history of a lot of abuse, both domestic abuse, emotional and mental abuse, really dark stuff. I lived as a young child with a ton of anxiety. I had a terrible sleep disorder, lots of fear, which then bled into an eating disorder. And my immune system was always compromised. I was always getting sick with something, which I now understand was the result of a hypersensitive nervous system. So even though I didn't get sick until 2018, looking back, I feel as if I was dealing with fatigue and ME CFS probably for most of my life, and that it just took a very, very long time to finally catch fire. I have a program for recovery, and I talk about this as the phenomenon known as limbic kindling, which is something you should look up if you have time. If I had to say what the number one most important thing was for my recovery, although I really believe that there are 4 pillars to recovery and they work synergistically, but if I had to pick one thing, I would say meditation. I was very against the concept of brain retraining, this word. It made me feel like the illness that I had was a purely psychological, psychosomatic illness. However, as I came to understand that this word should be labeled more as nervous system reshaping, nervous system reset, nervous system repair, these kinds of words would have been far less triggering for me. When I was in this hyper aroused state that I could not break out of, where even my cat walking across my sheets on my bed would cause excruciating pain. I used to tell people I could hear the wind moving through the trees down the street. That's how high my noise sensitivity was. And that says a lot about the nervous system state I was in, because when you are in a regular state of fight or flight, your senses, your vision, and your sound, they're increased so that you can flee or fight the threat. But this was beyond a normal nervous system fight or flight state. And so laying down and having guided relaxation meditation, it didn't move the needle for me. I had to slow my brain down. I had to learn how to train my mind like an animal, a wild animal, to be still. And that meant that I had to lean into the discomfort of my chaotic mind that I couldn't even see at the time. If you had asked me how I was feeling, family members would have said, "You seem so anxious, we can't even come near you." But I didn't feel anxious. I would have told you I felt calm. I wasn't calm. I had lost all sense of what calm was. Learning how to sit in meditation and become aware of my thoughts and of the discomfort was what began to give me separation between the illness and myself. So what does that mean? That would mean, in a very simple way, I might sit down and start counting my breaths. I would see how many breaths I could get to before a thought would come by. Now, when I was in that, what we call high beta state, where your beta waves are super high, the thoughts were coming by like a freight train. They were coming by so fast that I couldn't tag them or even see what they were. But I'd try to grab one, I'd try to see one and recognize what it was. I'd see the thought, and then I would not jump on the thought. Think of it like a train where it's in the station and you don't get on. And then I would come back and I'd start counting again. In the beginning, I'd make it 0.5 seconds without a thought, arresting me, where I had to develop that thought. But as I practiced it, I could get to 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 12 seconds. Eventually, I would sit for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. Over the course of a lot of time, I started to notice my sensitivities were decreasing. When you can get to a point where you start to release alpha waves in the brain, your thoughts will slow down. And if you continue the process of training your body to sit and training your mind to be still, this is really what I consider brain retraining, top-down processing, then you will move into a theta state, and that theta state is a deep physical relaxation that will feel so different from your ME CFS state, but complete and total mental mind awareness. And this is where, for me, I would feel this major shift from a hypersensitivity to pain, to sound, to light that was excruciating, to an awareness of light and sound that was blissful. Meditation will give you a separation between you and your thoughts, and this has a cascading effect on every aspect of your recovery. That awareness and that slowing down will help you break habits that are hurting you in your recovery. It will give you space between you and your thoughts so that you can choose a different thought. It will help you to pace and not overdo because your internal speedometer is slowing down. And there are immense benefits beyond this that I don't have time to talk about. The impact it has on your immune system, on your sleep, the combination of noting your thoughts, recognizing the chaos of your mind, sitting in the discomfort that you feel, and leaning into symptoms instead of away from them was a profound tool for me that moved the needle, as I said. The second major thing that helped me in my recovery was understanding the difference between pacing to cope and pacing to recover. These are not the same thing, and many brain retraining programs that exist out there, they tell you not to pace, that you'll never get well from pacing, and this confuses people because, again, this is a word like brain retraining that causes a trigger. We have a specific thing in mind when we think of brain retraining. We have a specific thing in mind when we think of pacing, but you have to pace to get well, and I'll take it one step further than that. You have to pace to stay well. You have to pace as a human being in the world the same way that the entire universe is pacing. Pacing to cope means that you are trying to live within the confines of your baseline to avoid PEM at all costs so that you don't get worse, permanently worse, as people say. And it doesn't work because life acts on you and you will be pushed out of that baseline by something at some point, and you will be eternally frustrated trying to avoid symptoms at all costs. Pacing to recover means that you only pace at a baseline for long enough for your nervous system to catch its breath, for it to stabilize at this new level of functioning before you expand again. And this is something I teach in my program, learning how to properly expand and going through these cycles of expansions and contractions, which happen hundreds of times over the course of a recovery. And the third and final thing that helped me in my recovery, although I believe in 4 pillars that I teach in my program, not 3, I guess I would call personal transformation. And we could maybe blend in the 4th thing, which is supporting your body, into personal transformation. Every person I've ever talked to who got well from ME CFS, including me, came to this point in their life in the recovery process where they realized that it was not about something curing them. And we all go through the stages when we get sick of denial, of grief, of needing a diagnosis to feel validated because we're gaslit by so many people, of chasing down every possible pill or supplement or treatment to try to get to the source of what is wrong with the body. And then something flips or changes in our mindset when we realize that a cure does not exist, but healing is possible. And in my program, I talk about the difference between healing and curing as well. What does it mean to heal from something like myalgic encephalomyelitis? It means that you cannot obtain or achieve healing. That healing is the consequence. It is the effect. That is the result of what you change inside yourself, your internal world and the way you respond to it, your external world and the way you respond to it, and all the behaviors and habits and thought processes that result from that also change. It really is about a personal transformation. And this is why I say that ME CFS is the great teacher, the great sage, and the greatest I love you that ever came from your body, because it constantly will redirect you to something you have not yet healed, that you then have to go and heal in order to see another new wave of recovery. So this could come down to cognitive distortions, thoughts that you have, programs you have, stories you tell yourself. They keep you from getting well because they cause you to push yourself too hard, to have no boundaries, to not know how to say no to people, to take on other people's stuff. This can deal with attachment work, understanding if you're anxious or avoidant or disorganized, and the very real impact that has on what nervous system state you're in: dorsal, ventral, sympathetic, freeze. This can have to do with internal saboteurs, things that make you sabotage your recovery. If you don't deal with them, you may find yourself stuck, because even if you start to make some progress in your recovery, you'll crash back down by pushing yourself too hard. Because again, the programs that are driving you to push, I have to, I must, I have a responsibility to, will be there. I left out the fourth pillar, which is also equally important: supporting the body in the very real secondary dysfunctions that result from your primary autonomic nervous system dysfunction, your immune system, your neuroendocrine system, the mitochondria. This is where supplements can come into play, a few choice medications. But if I had to pick three, it would be understanding what brain retraining really is: top-down processing, bottom-up processing. It would be understanding how to actually sit still in the discomfort and restlessness of your body and meditate. Second would be learning how to pace and expand properly. Even if you do all the meditating in the world and you go out and you deplete your ATP storage overnight by going for a run when you're not ready, then you're going to feel frustrated and you're going to give up meditation saying it doesn't work or brain retraining doesn't work. Well, these things have to work synergistically. And then finally, it is the bottom-up processing, the somatics, and the internal personal transformation that results from seeking to really heal mind, body, and soul and stop seeking a cure. And when you actually do that, which is a long process, I'm still in it now, recovered, I'm still feeling my body pointing me towards things that need healing, deep healing. That's where the changes are lasting, eternal. That's where you come out of it the other side and you see all these people and they're so happy. It's not just that they're happy that ME CFS is in the past. They're happy because they're whole, they're healed. They healed the things that allowed ME CFS to manifest in the first place. So with all of that being said, I have a program called the Edison Effect. It's very different from the programs that are out there because it's very comprehensive. It doesn't just deal with brain retraining. It teaches you how to properly expand. It deals with taboo subjects like exercise. It deals with LDN and gene mutations, and we go into everything. It is a no stone left unturned approach to recovery that will fill in the gaps, or has so far filled in the gaps for others who have taken a lot of different programs and still have these holes in their recovery process that are keeping them from moving forward. So if you're interested in that or in personal one-on-one coaching, you can reach out to me. But these are the things that I did. I just want to reassure you that healing is so worth it. Recovery is so possible. You are the captain of your ship. You are the one who directs the course. And there's more power, more magnificence inside the masterpiece that is your body than you could ever possibly know. Take care. I'm rooting for you.